everybody. How are we all? Okay, shall we make a start then? We're going to be using several different things today, but obviously we're going to be using one of the new products. Excuse me, I'm a bit croaky this morning, I'm not sure why, but I'll do my best. So we're using the Cosmos border today, but I'm not using it as is. I'm only using elements of it. I'm also using this stamp, which was part of the free Create and Craft members gift, but I've actually only used the sentiment because I just particularly liked the sentiment. It just fitted my card. I'm also using the textures stamp set, which, as you all know, is my absolute favourite stamp set that Lisa's ever bought out. And I just adore this set. I think most of the design team have got this and use it quite a lot. It's one of those sets that you go back to time and time again. It's gorgeous. I'm also using the Nested Pocket Builder die set. Again, still in stock. There are 10 still in stock. It's £26.99, which seems a lot, but there are 22 dies in here. And if I show you the set, for those of you that haven't seen it, this is what you get. Now, there's 6 different size pockets to start with. And then you get all the little pocket flaps and the details and the buttons, and it's just fabulous. It's a glorious little set to use. And then of course I'm using the nested bubble squares. So let's get cracking. I've said I'm using the Cosmos border, and I've said I'm using it differently. So I am only using the main flower. Well, no, I'm not. I'm using the main flower and the leaves, but I'm not going to do the leaves today because I've already done them and cut them out because they are a bit fiddly for what I wanted to do. So I'm using just this main flower, hence my post-it notes, because I don't want to get ink through these other little apertures that are under here. Okay, so I'm going to put my magnets on my card so as my card doesn't move, and I'm going to come in with my Juicy Pineapple, which I adore, and I'm just going to do the bottom layer. I am going to do it quite sort of deep, not too deep, but I want the yellow to be there because the colours that I'm going to put on the top, I want you to be able to see the yellow border on the flowers. So we've done the first flower, the main base, and that was stencil number 3. So I'm actually not using 1 and 2 to start with. So I'm going to put this one on here. Now again, I've used post-it notes and I've ripped them all up to make sure that I cover all the little bits that I don't want to sort of get ink through, because when you see what I'm going to do, you'll understand why I don't want any ink through the apertures that I'm not using. All right, so then we're going to come in with our early sunrise, and we're coming from the centre on this. So we're just going in circular motions both ways so that we catch all the edges, and we're not going to come all the way out to the edge yet. I might come back and do some more on that, but we'll see. Okay, now before I take that off, I am going to come in with some red. So I'm using the Strawberry Sundae, and I'm just going to come in from the centre and ink outwards from the centre. Okay, so I'm using the stencil to take some of my ink off the brush, and I'm just coming out from the centre of this flower just to give it some different interest along those veins of those petals. Okay, it's not much, doesn't need to be much, and you can go in and add more if you want. If you know, when you've finished and you're not really happy with the depth of the colour, you can of course go back in with your stencil because of the peg system and just add what you want to add. So then we come in with number 5, and we're going to do this bit in, what should we do, yellow. I think I'm going to come in with yellow, but we are going to go quite deep, okay, because the colour that's going on top of this yellow is going to be grey. Now if you watched Lisa this morning, you will know how much Lisa loves her grey. And I have to say, I totally get that. It's just a beautiful colour. So that's number 5. And then this would be the last one of 6 stencils, had I have used the first 2, which I haven't. So I'll just get my grey stencil brush. I'm just going to come through here. Not too heavy, just heavy enough that they go through those little apertures, and add my colour. How gorgeous is that? This is just such a beautiful stencil. This and the water lily. I mean, the water lily, I have to say, is probably my favourite. Just because I like water lilies. I like the shape of them. I like the shape of the petals and everything. But this is just, it's equally as beautiful. So, I've done those layers. Okay. Now I want to put another one next to it. Alright. So I need to cover this one up so that I don't get any ink on it. Now I've already cut my masks, good old post-it notes. They come in so useful. Make sure you keep a little bit of sticky bit so that you've got sticky to sort of stick it down onto the card so as it doesn't move. Okay, so that's covering that up. Alright, like that. Now then, I need to move my card so that I can get my next flower in. Alright. So I'm going to move my card round, add this down here, and then move my card so that it fits where I want that flower to appear. Alright, so I'm going to put it about there. So I'll use my magnets, put my stencil down, and then I'm going to start and colour again. Now I'm going to go with orange as my base for this one. Not for any particular reason other than just to give it a different look, really. So I'm going quite deep with this orange because the colour I'm going to add to this is red. Okay. Now before I take that stencil off, I am going to go with my little stencil brush, and I'm going to come off that mask with some orange just to give me a bit of shadow, because obviously there's going to be shadow behind that flower, isn't there? Now you can see I'm going circular motions just to make it sort of smooth, and I'm going to blend it in so that it's not got too much of a dark line. Okay, so you don't want a solid line, you just want the idea of a bit of shadow behind this first flower. Okay, so I'm going to take that one off, put that to one side, and go back in with our detail one. Now I'm going red on here, but I'm not going to use a Wonder Brush, I'm going to use a stencil brush, because I just want this to have sort of a hint of, really. So I'm coming out of the centre and round in circular motions, and then what I'm going to do is the same as I did on the yellow one. I'm going to come outwards from that central piece and just take my ink across the centre. See, I've taken some ink off the brush onto my post-it notes before I've sort of come out from the centre, and that's just really to make sure that I don't overload the image with ink. Probably gone a little bit heavy down here, but it's not going to matter. So I'll take that off and then come back in with this one. Now again, I'm going yellow here, which sounds a little bit daft, but as Lisa said this morning, these inks just sit beautifully on top of one another. So although the yellow won't look pristine yellow, it's going to look more yellow than orange, she said, hopefully. So if I whip that off there, and then again I can come in with my grey and just do those little seed heads in the centre. Okay, there you go. So now I'm going to put a third flower down. So again, I need to cover that one. So if I find my little sticky bit, put my flower down, and these are so easy to cut out. All you need to do is just ink yourself one through the stencil and cut that out through sort of 2 or 3 layers of post-it notes, and then you've got your masks ready made. Okay, so then we're going to come and put our stencil down here. Now we might not be able to use the pegs on the third one, then again we might. Well, I'm going to get away with it on here. But never worry if you can't use your pegs. It's not going to be a problem, because you can mark through the holes and you can mark the edges of the stencil. So you know you're not going to be too badly off if you can't use your peg system. But we're lucky with this one. So again, I'm coming back in with yellow here. Now, because I've got orange on the stencil, it's probably going to pick some of that up, but I don't mind that, because either we'll hide it with other colours or it'll just pick it up and it'll look a slightly different colour. I'm not bothered, I don't mind. So again, I'm going to come back in with not orange dawn, I'm going to come back in with the yellow off here, because there's going to be shadow off these two flowers behind here. But I don't want to use grey, because I don't want it to be that obvious. Okay, you could use grey if you wanted to, but for this I just wanted it to have a hint of darker colour. So I'll whip that off there, go in with our next one, hoping I haven't moved my card. No, don't think I have. And then again, we're going to come in with orange, but we're coming from the centre outwards, so that we fill that middle bit first, so that the middle bit has got more depth of colour in it, and then you can come in from the edges and just add your colour in the centre. Okay, now again, I'm going to come in from the centre here. I'm coming out from the centre along those veins of the petals, just to give it some extra detail. Okay, so I'll lift that up, go in with number 5. I'm going to go in here with orange, I think, just to make the centre a little bit different, but I'm not going too heavy. So I've taken some of the colour off my brush, and I'm just going quite with whatever I've got on the brush here. I'm just filling that centrepiece in. Okay, and then again we're coming back with the grey and just do those little seed heads, and then all you've got to do is cut it out, which is dead easy. I mean, yes, it's a bit fiddly, it takes a little bit of time, and I'm not going to do it live because I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to see me sitting cutting 3 flowers out, so I've already done that. But it just gives a different look to these flowers. So when I take these off here, you'll see that you've got a beautiful little posy of flowers. Okay, now I went then and cut that out. Okay, but then I also thought, wouldn't it be nice if I'd got an embossed flower, because obviously I can't emboss these now because the embossing folder isn't configured right, and I would spoil these two if I emboss this one and vice versa. So I can't go in and emboss those. But what I can do is do another one and then put my piece of card into the embossing folder, because the embossing is so deep, you will be able to seat your little flower where it is in the embossing folder. So if I show you the embossing folder, okay, so you've inked a flower, all right, and then you want to emboss it. So I'll do it in the deboss side, there. Okay, so your cut flower will sit in your embossing folder beautifully. So stencil your flower, and then what I would do is probably cut it rough and sit your flower into the embossing folder, and then just cut it out, because the embossing being deep on here will give you a cut line guide to cut this flower out. And then, because you've already coloured it and it will emboss, and then you've cut it out, you can use it as an extra feature on top of the others that you've already stenciled. Okay, so let's put the card together. I've already, as I said, I've already done my colouring. So here's the base of my card, which obviously I've already put together because this is 3D'd and it's with glue gel, so I wanted it to be pretty sort of final. I wanted it so that I knew it wouldn't move. I have put a layer of 3D pad behind here, and you'll see that I've just brushed some of the early sunrise in the background, and then used the script stamp, and I've used the same ink, the blending ink, just to stamp some of the script in the background, just to give the background a little bit of interest. Glitter card. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, it's green, but it's not, it's gold. But it's green because it's just stunning. This black is Lisa's original black and white glitter card, and I just wanted something to sort of separate the layers really, just to make it look a little bit different. So let's come with our bits and pieces. Okay, so you can see here, these are the leaves on those stencils that I said I wasn't using, but I did. So all I've done really is I've just stenciled through here, I've embossed it, and then I've cut it out. Again, because the embossing gives me that deep line to guide me, and it's easier to cut out. Okay, now some of these leaves have got sort of bases of little flower buds on, and you can just cut those off if you want to, or do your little flower buds and use it for something else. I just wanted to use these couple of little fronds on the front of this. Okay, so I've just inked it with the woodland moss very, very lightly, and then cut them out. As you can see, they are really, really light, so I haven't gone very heavy at all. Okay, now these are going here like so. All right, but I'm not going to glue them down yet because I want to place the rest of the detail. Now these leaves are from the foliage set. They're just a stunning set, you know, the one that's got all the leaves on. And then I've also used the modern berries, which I think is just such a versatile die set, to give you added interest to your cards. Okay, so I'm just going to place it out where I would want it before I actually glue anything down, just so that I know exactly where I'm going. Now I don't want it hanging over the outside piece of card. I don't mind if it overhangs the bubbles. All right, so I'm coming in with, I think we'll go that way, and then we'll come in and meet, go that way. Okay, and then I'm going to put my flowers down. Now my flowers are going to sit over the edge of the pocket. Now what I wanted to do was make sure that I'd hidden the edge of the pocket, because I haven't used a flap on the pocket because it would be pointless really, because I knew that the flowers were going to overhang the pocket, so I haven't put a flap on it. So I want to make sure that those flowers actually come to the edge of that pocket. Okay, and then these are going on here like so. I've also got a tiny little bit there which I might use, and then I've got my embossed flower which is going to just sit on the top. Now all this is going to be 3D'd, but it just means you've got a little bit of interest. The leaves are also going under here, just to give it a little bit of different colour really, just to break it up a little bit. Okay, right, so let's glue these down. Let's work from the back upwards. Okay. But that is just a different way of using the same stencil set, the same embossing folder, etc., just to give it a totally different look. So it's completely different to how it looks on the packet, but it's easy to do. It's easy to cut out. I mean, obviously you can't. The other way you could do the same sort of thing is to do this 4 or 5 times and just have different layers of embossed flowers. But I liked the contrast between just the stenciled and the stenciled and embossed. I just liked the difference. Do you know what I mean? I think the centre's a little bit bare. I could have put these a little bit further over, but you know, it is what it is, and I think it looks okay. I'm happy with it. So look at your stencil and think of different ways you could use them. So I shall use these on another project. I really like the colours on those, to be honest. In fact, I probably like the colours on those better than those, but I'd gone with yellows. I just wanted these to look a little bit different. So there you go. Have a fabulous weekend. Stay safe. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.